And hello and welcome everyone. We are back again for another installment of the Retro Hero video podcast. It's a video book club where Matt and myself take a look at some of the finest, some of the strangest, and occasionally some of the worst adaptations of our favorite comic books and superhero stories.
Yeah. So far the show's been really great.
Yeah.
We've explored some pretty interesting animated shows. This is our first live action one.
Our first live action series, we technically did that Stan Lee reality show.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
But this is our first live action series that's not a game show, reality show. It's also the longest thing we've ever done. This was like a full hour.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, normally when we do this show, I love it because it's kind of a break from the normal podcast format. Oh, I only got to watch 22 minutes of TV, make up some screenshots, and then Matt and I talk for 40 minutes. I edit it myself. Oh, it's so great. This time I'm like, oh, a whole hour-long epic series. Okay, I'll sit down and watch it. Like an hour before we have to do the show. Yes, I know Retro Hero was my idea, but I also didn't do my homework, okay? That's what I do. Honestly, I honestly thought this is the finale of our big haven't seen it arc, where Matt and I tried to look at shows we haven't actually seen before and know like the back of our hand. We were supposed to do this one like 2 other times, but news kept getting in the way, life kept getting in the way. Mm-hmm. That's why we're dropping it in the middle of the month instead of like at the beginning of a new month.
Yeah.
In case people were wondering, I don't know if people actually follow our release schedules that hard, but that's why we're doing it now. But yes, before we hop into the show proper, everyone, before we do our regularly scheduled anthropological deep dive into the year the show was made, I want to tell you that this episode, much like the comic multiverse for the first 2 months in October, have been brought to us courtesy of the really awesome Kickstarter project, Blacktooth Battalion, courtesy of Omari Malik, who's a young up-and-coming comic creator who really wanted us to talk this up, and I'm really glad we've had a chance to. I'm actually looking at the Kickstarter right now, and it's about halfway there with about 30 days to go.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so if this makes it, I'm going to feel really happy about it. For those who don't know, Blacktooth Battalion is an anthology series of 3 brand new, very cool, very slick, very interesting, very original superheroes, Ad Astra, Dogpile, and Snakebite, that Omari would like to see, people really respond to, so he can hopefully do more with them, I can assume, because isn't that what every comic creator wants? And these look really good. Of course, when I edit this later, I'll flash it all up on the screen for you to see what's going on. Obviously, I've seen a lot of Kickstarters, Matt and I both have, but this one really spoke to us, and it's something that we really wanted to try and get behind with the channel, and I'm glad to see so many followers have gotten behind it too and say that they're supporting this. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's great. Everything about the anthology series and the 3 books that are connected to it look fantastic. It feels unique and original, and not, aping off bigger things or anything.
Exactly.
But yeah, it just all looks fantastic.
And it's just a well goddamn put together Kickstarter too, that looks clean and professional and everything. If God forbid we have to start a Kickstarter, Matt, for any reason, for anything, if if we're struck with creativity and not just talking into microphones every week there, I'm gonna ask Omar to be like, hey, can you help us do ours?
We'll sort it out the night before.
Yes, if this show is any indication of how I would run a Kickstarter, I would do it the night before, right before it launched. Oh, crap, I guess I gotta record the video for this now. All right. And it would be bad. But yes, with that out of the way, everyone, we can hop into the show proper. Of course, if you've never listened to Retro Hero before, we do things a little differently here. Not only do we talk about the show, do we talk about our thoughts and feelings, do we talk about how it relates to comic books, but also we do a bit of a, cultural deep dive here to try and explore the place and time that the show was released. Mainly because when we do talk about shows here, it's shows from like the 90s or even further back.
Yeah, early 2000s or something, yeah.
Yes, yeah, because, obviously art isn't created in a vacuum, so you want to see what the culture was like at the time. What's really funny about the Alfred show, Pennyworth, I keep calling it the Alfred show. I keep wanting to call it Alfred, but it's actually called Pennyworth. I'm going to make that mistake
it's called Pennyworth, the prequel to Batman's Butler or something now. They changed the title recently.
Yes.
To just fucking ridiculous.
In the third season, which should let you know, this show got 3 seasons, which blew me away, and that's why I put it on this list. I'm like, well, fuck, I guess Matt and I have to talk about it now.
Yeah, it kept getting renewed to, like, mine and pretty much everyone else's amazement.
Yeah, somebody's definitely watching it. But yeah, the first episode actually dropped in 2019, only 3 years ago, making this officially the newest show we've ever covered on Retro
And
here.
it's gotten 3 seasons so quickly as well. That's the
I know.
thing.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. So let me take you back, everyone, to the world of yesterday, not that long ago, 2019. The pandemic hadn't hit yet. The world had not yet changed, and we weren't living in the shadow of it. Not to say the world wasn't totally fucked up at that point, but, you know, we didn't have a land war in Europe. We didn't have a massive pandemic yet.
Yep.
Truly, these were simpler times. And in these simpler times, Matt, what do you think the number one song in the world was at the time?
2019. Holy shit.
Not that long ago.
I have no idea. I can't even remember what this year's top song was.
I know, right? Tell me about it. Well, here's the funny thing about gauging this. You know, obviously, in other times when we've done this show, I've had, like, you know, the actual billboards and everything to go off of. Because we're in the modern era now, it's a lot harder because you got to factor in streaming and you got to factor in the internet and everything else. Yeah. But because of that, songs that become hit songs do so because they catch on virally. And I don't think you could ask for a bigger viral hit than what was the number one song in 2019, because it was Old Town Road by Lil Nas X.
I should have guessed.
Gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road, gonna ride. I like this song. I don't care what anyone says.
It's a pretty good song.
It's pretty good song. It's fucking catchy. You know, I did think Lil Nas X was gonna be a one-hit wonder. I thought it was gonna be a novelty hit, but no, he kept coming back and kept making interesting work. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Now, do you know the story behind this? That when they uploaded it to Spotify originally, they uploaded it to the country section by mistake.
Yeah, that I remember that being the whole thing where, like, people didn't like that he was being counted as a country artist.
Yes.
And yeah, you know, for many, many reasons.
Oh, yes.
Not just because the music wasn't country or anything. But
yes. Oh, yeah. It actually became quite a lightning rod for controversy in the music industry about, like, you know, racism in country, homophobia in country. You know, like, why do we have these, like, very strict genres and everything for music? Shouldn't you just be happy that you had a hit and everything? It got really crazy, and also it only got weirder because, like, the song was a hit, but there wasn't a video for the song yet. The first version I saw had, like, Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff behind it on YouTube. That was what went really viral.
Okay.
It was only later when they did the remix with fucking Billy Ray Cyrus, of all people. That's the video that everyone knows, the one that also got bigger. Mm-hmm. Also, think about that. This song was so big, it briefly resurrected Billy Ray Cyrus's career.
Yeah, holy shit.
And that he was the one lending legitimacy to this one, because he had Don't Break My Heart, My Achy Breaky Heart, My Daughter's More Famous Than Me. But yeah, good on you, Lil Nas X. You gave us something fun to enjoy there in 2019 when we needed it.
Yeah.
And also started a hell of a conversation, which I don't even know if he intended to do that, but, well, he did it.
Yeah, and he lent into it as well.
Sure did.
Into the whole country thing.
Absolutely.
Great.
Again, I think because he's, like, you know, young creative person in the internet age where it's like, well, time to lean into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, as far as movies go, what do you think the biggest movie of 2019 was?
Is that Avengers Endgame?
You would think so, right? You're close. It was a Disney movie.
Oh, okay. Star Wars? 2019?
No Star Wars in 2019. It was the live-action Lion King.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that made a bunch of money, didn't it?
It did. I was blown away. I don't know if it was for the whole year, but it was definitely for, like, the week that this Alfred show came out. This was the biggest thing.
Okay, yeah.
I've not seen it.
Have I seen it? I honestly can't remember, just because it's like, why?
Yeah, and also because all of these live-action Disney movies run together at a point.
Yeah.
Like, again, the original Lion King is, like, such a triumph of animation and storytelling and music and everything. I'm like, I don't need to see the live-action version.
Yeah.
But a lot of people did, and it made a ton of money, and it's getting a weird sequel-prequel in Mufasa in a couple years.
Yeah, directed by Barry Jenkins of all people.
Okay, sure. Why not? I get those lions sure looked realistic, I guess. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing,
Yeah, I guess.
feels like a whole sequel made just so they could have the moment of like, oh, and when did Scar become Scar?
Yeah.
Because what else is going to be your big moment in a prequel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I joked about this on another show, but was his name already Scar, or did his parents just have amazing foresight?
Yeah, are we gonna see him like get the scar?
Oh,
It's gonna be like
no.
Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones.
Oh, it's going to be 100% that. I just want to know, was his name like Steve before that?
Yeah, something. Yeah, like John.
But Babyface Bob was his name before he got the scar, and then after that, no one could call him anything but, hey, Scar, you big bitch, what's going on? What's the matter? Was being all deformed and shit. So yeah, so there's movies for you, everyone. Again, didn't see this one. I know it's on streaming. I could see it on Disney Plus anytime I want, but I'm in no particular rush.
Mm-hmm.
To think, too, you had to enjoy these because soon you wouldn't be able to see movies at the theater anymore. This is like the last gasp of before everything coming out on streaming and being like, is it safe to put movies out in theaters anymore? We don't even know.
Yeah.
The world was about to change. Now, as far as television, this one is also very hard to gauge, just like music, because you have so many different streaming apps and so many different shows. But according to my research, apparently the most watched show in 2019 when Alfred dropped was The Boys on Amazon, Season 1.
Yeah, makes sense.
Man, this thing was huge, and I've gone on record before, and I'll say it again. I think Season 1 of The Boys is perfectly fine, but oh boy, the show that it would become later on.
Yeah, seasons 2 and 3 are like really where it like found its footing and what it wanted to be and everything, and it's just gotten so much better.
It really has. It is transcended the comics that it is based on, and to think that it caught on so well with your average like mom and pop Joe and Jane popcorn audience. I guess they were just ready for something to, slaughter the sacred cows that were, the other superhero stuff.
Yeah.
It's also kind of funny, too, because, it's totally riffing on, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but draping it in DC hero Superman ephemera, and yet it's brought to us by Amazon. So it's like, yeah, that evil corporation that is bought. Oh, yeah, you can't trust that evil media corporation. We're cool, though, right? How them socks and batteries and everything else. Oh, yeah, I got them to you in less than a day. Yeah, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You want to know how many people I had to kill for it? No, you don't.
Yeah. How much of the Amazon I burnt down?
Yeah. How many people didn't get pee breaks so you could get this? Yeah, don't think about it. Don't think about it. I'm not thinking about it. You shouldn't either. Now, the most surprising thing was actually what the #1 video game was in 2019 when this aired. This one actually blew me away, but made more sense when I stopped and thought about it, because I remember it was actually a big story at the time, because it was part of a series that had never actually done good in North America until this one. Do you know what I'm talking about, Matt?
I think so.
It's a Switch game. I'll help you out.
Switch game. Okay. I'm not too sure now.
Fire Emblem: The Three Houses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I remember, again, this was actually quite a lightning rod for controversy, too, because a lot of the hardcore Fire Emblem fans were like, oh, they made it too easy, they dumbed it down for casual players and everything, to which the company and everyone else is like, yeah, you can say that, but it's also the most successful Fire Emblem game in North America ever. It actually got to be #1. It never got to be #1 before, so sit and spin, guys. This is also getting a sequel too. Didn't it already get like a weird like Dynasty Warriors spin-off, or was that just a fever dream?
No, it did. There was another one that came out. I don't know whether it was related. I'm not too sure. Maybe it was. I'm not sure.
I kept meaning to play this one because I've always liked the idea of Fire Emblem, but I'm definitely one of those casual plebs who is also slightly scared away by it, where it's like, what do you mean I'll fall in love with one of my units and then they might die? What?
Yeah, what?
Also, is this the one, or am I thinking of another Fire Emblem game where you can basically play matchmaker with your army and unlock, their descendants, who are their own unique hero units and everything?
I think that was another one. This one was about, like...
School,
There was,
right?
like, schools, yeah. There was, like... And you could, like, join, like, a house, quote unquote.
Very Harry Potter-ish. Let me guess, was there a Slytherin-like, a Hufflepuff-like, and a Gryffindor-alike?
pretty sure, yes.
Probably. Only I bet this one had more queer representation. Ho ho! Yeah, topical date in this episode. Now, obviously, of course, we're a comic book show, first and foremost, so we have to talk about what was going on in the world of comics in 2019, and it's something that we are very much living in the shadow of still all these years later. I'm, of course, talking about Jonathan Hickman's epic relaunch, reboot, re-everything, basically, of the X-Men line. House of X and Powers of X was coming out at this time.
Yes, comics you can actually head over to our channels and check out.
Hey,
we actually reviewed them.
We covered all of these, actually, which we rarely ever get to say when we do this, but we were there, man. We were there when it happened, and oh, man, what a magical time to be an X-Men fan, right?
Yeah, oh, it's so fucking cool.
They went from, like, the lowest of lows, where it's like, oh, God, you know, all this, you know, posturing with the movies and everything, and all this running in place has just made X-Men so unreadable, and no one looks or acts like themselves anymore, and here comes House and Powers of X being like, look, we're bringing everything back, every character you like, and we're putting a cool new spin on it. Mm-hmm. The whole, you know, Krakoa as an island nation refuge for mutants, Moira being retconned as a mutant who's lived multiple different lives and keeps trying to save mutant kind only to get screwed over every time, Apocalypse and everything else they did with it. It's just, it's not every day you're reading something and being like, this is going to be one of those legendary runs that people look back on.
Yeah, and you could just tell as well.
It just felt so important. Everything about it felt important.
Yeah, everything mattered in some way, and we're still getting like some of those like plot points paying off this far away from when it started. Yeah,
Hickman's not even on the book anymore, and it's still basically all enveloping. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, they announced, you know, the fall of X, which seems like, oh, I guess this will be maybe the end of Krakoa or the end of something. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, they had House and Power, then Dawn, then Destiny, and now they're talking about the fall, whatever that means. Though, honestly, I wouldn't see them blowing up Krakoa entirely.
No, yeah. No, well, again, they set something up in a recent comic that feels like, oh, you have to blow up Krakoa for this thing to happen for story reasons.
I truly think, and I could be wrong, but I think they're going to keep riding what Hickman did basically until it's time for a new movie to come out, and then they'll set it all back to zero and the mansion and what you know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, we're going to get like at least a couple more years until the MCU need to have like comics go back to like more classical X-Men for their movies. Yeah.
And by that point, it'll be nostalgic, and at that point, we'll be excited for it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Once we know that they've wringed all the juice out of Krakoa in this era of X-Men. Mm-hmm. Now, over at DC, they had another little book. They had a little book called Deceased. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is a very simple concept. Hey, what if the DC universe but zombies?
Yeah, yeah.
What if we had every horror movie end of the world trope you like, but we put it in a superhero book and we made it so anyone could die at any time?
Yeah, and we'll get the guy who likes killing off heroes to write it.
Yeah, Tom Taylor, who's made a nice, tidy little career out of, like, Game of Thrones-ifying, like, I could kill anyone at any moment, you don't know. I throw a dart at a board, and then I just write from there. Wildly successful, that had, like, 3 or 4 sequels and spin-offs, depending on how you count it. In fact, War of the Undead Gods, the newest installment in the DC saga, is going on right now as we record this.
Yes, the final installment.
Yeah, they say final, but like every good horror movie, dead never means dead.
That's true, that's true.
It will only rise again from the grave, if you will. But, yeah, so that was everything that was happening in the world in 2019. There's a nice little cross-section, if you will, of what's going on. And with that out of the way, we can actually hop into the show proper that is Alfred Episode 1, just called Pilot Episode.
Yeah, just Pilot.
Just Pilot. Okay, so Act 1 of the show, complete cold open. We're in the English countryside somewhere, and oh my god, they actually spent a little money because we're hearing Rolling Stones paint it black.
Yeah, Yeah, this show doesn't kind of skimp out when it comes to the music.
Which I was shocked by. I assumed if they were making an Alfred show, it was like, oh, well, we wanted to make a Batman show, but that's expensive. I was genuinely surprised by the fact that money was spent on this.
I know. It's strange. I don't know what like compelled the producers and writers and everything to decide that this is what they were going to spend money on, but yeah.
They did. So if that wasn't British enough, we get a big fox hunt, a bunch of big, important-looking dudes in red jackets chasing a fox, because that's what you do when you're part of the British aristocracy.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. You gotta get out there with your boys. You gotta hunt the fox. Gotta do the thing.
Yeah, you do your fox hunts and then hide your son's sexual predator nature.
Yep, always. There you go.
Yeah.
We're introduced right away to one of our big heavies of the first episode, and I'm assuming she comes back as she had like recurring character written all over her. Oh yeah, for those who don't know, Matt for once actually watched ahead because he actually liked the first episode enough to keep going. So every so often, I'm gonna ask him questions. But yes, this woman is Sykes, and she has like total James Bond era, like quirky villain enforcer all over her, right?
Yeah. She comes back a little later on. I'm only 4 episodes deep.
Oh, there you go.
I haven't gone back and watched, but yeah, she does come back eventually.
Yeah, she's a total like Jaws style heavy. Her and another mustachioed villain kidnap one of these fancy lords. They knock him off his horse, and eventually we discover later on that they're part of some weird spy, group called the Raven Society, and we see them printing their literature there, and it's like, hey, it's the British flag with a big black bird on it. Hey, that kind of looks like, the German Iron Eagle? And as you find out later, they actually are a fascist group, so there you go.
Yeah.
Homegrown fascists at the end of the war. There's actually a lot of bird imagery all over the show because in the opening credits, which is even more James Bond, we get a whole thing of like a silhouette of Alfred being chased by a silhouette of a raven.
Yeah, do you reckon it's a raven, or do you reckon they'll like turn it into a bat?
Oh, how about that? Yeah, that's the thing, bats and birds and everything else. They did that in the comics, of course, with the Court of Owls, and when I was watching this, I had to think to myself, did they want to do Court of Owls but couldn't, so they're just like, fuck it, raven something. I really wonder, because even like in the like cartoons we like, there's a great Alfred episode, the Lion and the Unicorn, and I'm like, oh, so that had like a weird animal motif too. It's funny that kind of made it in here too.
Yeah.
Now in the opening credits too, we see that this show comes to us courtesy of executive producer and developer, and he wears a lot of hats, Bruno Heller, who of course worked on Rome and Gotham, are like his 2 big claims to fame.
Yeah, and this is what is kind of weird, because this show is technically a prequel to Gotham.
Really, that version of Alfred?
Well, I think that's what it started out as. I don't know whether it is now.
Oh, true enough. It might have changed.
But like that was like the whole thing. Like when Gotham was like really popular for some reason, they like, oh, we'll do an Alfred show and it'll be based on this Alfred.
I mean, I could totally headcanon that into seeing that's the case, because obviously the Alfred in the Gotham show was a lot more Earth One, hard-nosed, hard-bitten, British operator. And, like, obviously there's been a lot of different origins for Alfred over the years. He's been an actor. He's been a spy, but, like, not an in-the-field spy. He was a guy who, like, more wrote a desk and everything. And, there was a guy where he was, like, from a long line of butlers. This show kind of tries to have its cake and eat it too and do all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. If you're going to be adapting Alfred, you might as well try and bring as much into it as humanly possible.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, we get, boom, our big title card there, Pennyworth, which reminds me very much of, like, other BBC series. It reminds me, like, of, Luthor or Sherlock or something like that.
Yeah, it's very much... I have to assume it's somewhat inspired by especially Sherlock.
Oh, there's a lot of Sherlock here. There's a lot of Sherlock, there's a lot of James Bond, and there's a little Guy Ritchie in here too at points.
Yep.
But yeah, so we hard cut into Alfred's room. He's waking up there, and he's having horrible PTSD flashbacks. And they do. I know this isn't like the progenitor of it, but it's what I always call it: the Vash the Stampede shot. When you turn around and you see his back is all scarred, and the scars tell a story of a life of violence.
Yep.
This is also totally just the opening scene from Sherlock when Dr. Watson wakes up and from having a similar PTSD dream.
That's what I was thinking of with like the Sherlock
comparison
parallels. Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Actually, from there, we see there's a big military funeral going on for one of the guys that Alfred served with in the war. This is post-World War II. And hey, didn't we see this graveyard either in the Sherlock show, or am I thinking the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock movie? Because this looks like a very familiar graveyard, unless they all just look like this in Britain.
Yeah, well, I have to assume they probably filmed in like the same place and stuff like that, because it is filmed in England. Yeah,
so unless I'm going crazy, everyone, tell me, is this the same graveyard? I know I've seen this in another movie.
Mm-hmm.
We get some little stuff there about, guys from the war not doing so well, bringing back PTSD. Apparently, Alfred and his buddies there have had to bury quite a few of their friends who couldn't adjust after the horrors of the war. And I'm like, well, this is pretty dark and dour to start it off. I wouldn't expect this from an Alfred show, but all right, you've got a direction, you've got something you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's intriguing that like an Alfred show would go into stuff like veterans, depression,
post-World War II,
and all that sort of stuff. But they also allude, I can't remember whether it's outrightly said, but they also allude to the fact that, maybe he didn't kill himself. Maybe there was something else there.
Yes, it was a very mysterious death. They're like, it was a suicide. And then they're like, yeah, but he wrapped his car around a lamppost in broad daylight, and he was like the best driver in the car.
Driver, yeah.
Yeah, so clearly there was something fishy about it. Never comes up again in this episode. Does it come up in a future episode?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in like a couple episodes, Alfred finds something out, yeah.
Okay, so they're planting seeds for future adventures here.
Yes.
I will say the show is shockingly well shot. As we said, it's actually filmed in London, and it is, kind of capturing a rather interesting time in history when there's still horse-drawn carriages, but also cars and double-decker buses, and it's this weird kind of
blimps.
Blimps. I fucking love my blimps in my Batman stories, even a Batman-adjacent story.
Yeah.
But yeah, this weird kind of culture clash of like the old world and the new world. And in fact, that's kind of a weird recurring theme throughout this episode that, the world is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to be left? We see Alfred has a job. He talked up to his friends that, I have a security company. No, you don't. You're just a bouncer.
You're a bouncer who's like trying to like give like the people he lets into the club like his card that he has for his security company that isn't a real company.
Yeah, start a company. I'm a doorman. Which, man, as soon as I saw this, I instantly thought of that like BBC show, Britain's Hardest Doorman. And I'm like, Alfred's not a particularly hard doorman. He's a guy in a tuxedo. Though he will kick some ass later. He gets a problem at the club. Apparently, 2 Americans are starting trouble. They're being very loud, which you don't want to be.
Loud and belligerent, which is quite unusual for Americans.
Yeah, Americans abroad, right? That's one of my favorite things about traveling. It's like, well, how will I know who the Americans are? Trust me, you'll know. They're louder than everyone else. And hey, that's nothing against our American viewers. I'm just saying we know we can pick you out of a crowd. We're pretty good at finding it. It's not an accent thing. It's not a how you walk thing. It's just a general volume thing. Everyone else in the world is at like a 5. You guys are at like a 10. Everywhere you go. Which, hey, everything's very fast and loud in America, so you got to talk over it. Hey, I get it.
Yeah.
This is, of course, Thomas Wayne, who has come here to this somewhat dingy London nightclub to try and find his sister, Patricia Wayne. Yeah, we all know the great Patricia Wayne, right? All the amazing Aunt Patricia stories from the comics.
I wonder if they wanted to do like his cousin or something, like a Kane.
Right.
But they couldn't because of the Batwoman show.
Right. You know what they should have done? They should have done an Adam West reference. It should have been Aunt Harriet. It should have been his sister Harriet. If they did that, I would have chuckled, gone, fuck you, and then I would have been like, you know what, all right, fair enough. Aunt Harriet was a bad party girl back in the day who loved to drink and get into trouble, all right. Again, look up Aunt Harriet, everyone. Back in the Adam West show and in the comics at that time, Batman did have an aunt who would occasionally stop by.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Alfred beats up the two thugs who were kind of keeping Patricia, helps Thomas get her out, and then gets punched in the face for his trouble anyway. Apparently Patricia's got a hell of a right hook that Bruce would end up adopting many years later. It runs in the family. Bruce and Thomas exchange cards, and, you know, I'm sure they'll never see each other again.
No, never again, no.
Nah, just a one-time chance meeting. Never, ever again. It is not a fateful meeting. It is not a meet cute. It's just a thing that happened.
Yes, I do like the show, actually, like, we're like 10 minutes into the episode, and, like, they've already met, because, like, it feels like I know Gotham did this quite a fair bit, where, like, you'd have something like Alfred meeting like Thomas Wayne. That would be like the finale, like the end of the season, just before the season ends, sort of thing. You know, they tease it all the way through. Oh, there's some big guy coming over from America, you know, all that sort of stuff. But no,
that was very
don't
annoying.
get any of that shit here.
No, they actually get to the goddamn point here for once, which, hey, you know, I know we're ragging on Gotham a lot. I know some people liked Gotham, and apparently it did find its own identity near the end. But it just drove me fucking crazy.
No.
But mainly because of tone issues. Gotham's problem is that I don't think it ever knew what the hell it wanted to be. Sometimes it wanted to be a serious, like, neo-noir show. Sometimes it wanted to be like a modern-day Adam West thing where, like, criminals would go to, like, a Walmart of crime to get their weapons.
Yeah. Very Adam West or, like, Joel Schumacher sort of stuff. Yeah.
And everyone was playing it like they were in a different show. Like, you know, you had the main Gordon guy and the dude playing Bullock, where, you know, like, playing it pretty down the middle as you should, you know, for a cop procedural. Like, they thought they were in a cop procedural show. Then you had frickin' Fish Mooney just chewing every goddamn piece of scenery and just, like, slinking around, where it's like, where the fuck did you come from? What other show are you in?
Yeah.
And that was just kind of the show forever. But again, Alfred, or again, I keep calling it Alfred Pennyworth, actually does a pretty good job picking a tone and sticking with it.
Yeah, and as well, it's a real simple tone to get for the show. It's a spy thriller.
Yes, it is a spy thriller. It is a 60s era spy thriller. Alfred meets a nice lady at the bar who, you know, gives him a handkerchief for his bloody nose, and they, you know, they instantly fall head over heels for each other. It's a Hollywood meet cute for the ages, and she will basically end up being his raison d'etre for the rest of the episode, for the rest of the pilot. She changes his life. Now, hard cut from there to remind you that you're watching an epic show, because we have High Lord Mustache with his prostitute and his cocaine and what is going on in the House of Commons. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you can get away with more on epics, can't you, than you could with Gotham.
Yeah, you can actually, like, show drugs and stuff.
Yeah, this genuinely surprised me. And I'm like, oh, right, epics, it's one of those networks where you can swear, you can kill people, you can do drugs, you can imply prostitution. You just can't show any nipples, though.
Yeah.
That's the rule. You can do everything.
Yeah, that's the line. That's the line.
That's the line. So High Lord Mustache here gets us up to speed on the two major factions in the show. There's the Raven Society, who we saw, who are a group of neo-fascists who plan to make jolly old England great again, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is their big goal there. I love they say they're supported by members of the British family, maybe not Elizabeth herself. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, Philip, it's Philip, isn't it? It was Philip. Yeah. Philip's the one. We're not going to name names, but it's definitely Philip.
King George's brother, who was literally a Nazi.
Who was very literally Nazi. We don't like to talk about that, but harumph. And then the other guys, basically the Control to their Chaos, the MI6 to their, you know, friggin' Blofeld and his guys, the No Name League, which makes me laugh, because I'm just like, well, if your name is the No Name League, then you've already failed at having no name.
You technically do have a name, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a logo, too? I mean, those other guys have a logo. Do you guys have a logo? It's like Task Force X and the Suicide Squad. You're supposed to be secret, but you guys have, like, a lot of logos and a lot of branding here. Did you pay an artist to make those for you?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, classic spy show, very Get Smart, very like the old TV Avengers, where it's like, here's your good spies and here's your bad spies, and they're going to be fighting each other and having many adventures.
Yes.
Which, hey, credit where credit is due. We don't really have that on TV right now. That used to be like all the rage back in the day. Yeah. I can see why, if you're like an older person watching this, you'd be like, oh yeah, this does remind me of Get Smart. This does remind me of all these shows that they pretty much don't make anymore.
Yeah, I would very much like to see the like demographic of
Same.
Because again, it's gotten 3 seasons, but literally
no one I know
we've ever talked to, no one fucking watches it or even knew it was a thing.
Yeah, I have to assume that this show skews a lot older for a lot of people that don't actually know that this is a comic Batman adjacent show, because in this first episode they do basically nothing to make you think that this is in any way connected to Batman or Gotham. Thomas Wayne, that's about it.
Yeah, that was another really interesting thing, because I thought they would definitely hit that home.
Lean into it.
He'd be making all sorts of like bat-themed puns
or allusions.
Hey, this is gonna come back. This is gonna come back.
Yeah. So we're introduced to our main villain of the piece, Lord Fancy Cape. I think his name is like Lord Harlow, Hardock, Har something. It escapes me at the moment.
Yeah.
Hardon. It's something with an H. I know I just watched it. But yeah, he comes strutting in totally like, I am a goddamn proto-supervillain. Look at my pinstripe suit and my cape with the furs. Everybody just looking at me.
It's funny because this character later on, he goes full fucking supervillain. He gets like a metal nose.
Oh, yes, I think I saw that, actually. I think I saw a picture of that. Of course he does. Which, again, is very old-school James Bond, Jaws, all that other stuff. Goldfinger, you gotta have a little gimmick.
Yeah, there's a guy later on, I'm not up to it, I've only seen pictures, but apparently he's like some soldier guy who ends up, like, eating a bomb that was going to blow up London, and it turns him blue.
Okay.
And he has to wear, like a Mr. Freeze suit to sort of live.
You know what? That's like, again, it's like, wow, that's really like weird comic book stuff. Honestly, it's something you could see in a Bond movie from around the same time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because like the two genres, like the pulp genre, the spy genre, they have a lot more crossover than you think, and a lot of the same writers wrote the same stuff. So it's not that crazy at all. So Lord Fancy Cape there, we discover, was behind the kidnapping of the dude from the beginning of the episode, and this guy is some big fancy banker type, is the thing. He knows where all the money is, and there's apparently some great big conspiracy that they are on top of.
Yes.
And we're going to see how that relates to Alfred and Thomas later on. I do like we actually get to see Alfred's home life as a young man. He lives at home. He's bouncing at night and everything. His parents are a little disapproving because, he had so many distinguished honors from the military, and yet he seems to kind of be underachieving. His father, especially, we discover, is actually like a butler himself and says, you should be a domestic servant, you could be a footman, you could be, any of these things you want. The world is your oyster in domestic servitude.
which is like, again, it kind of goes against like what they want for their sons. Like, oh, he's a British, soldier, he's decorated and everything. Just come home and just be a butler.
Be a butler.
It's just okay.
And Alfred being like, no, father, I am my own man. I will never butt in this life. I swear, wink, wink.
I will never butt, I will bounce.
I will bounce instead of... Oh my god, that should have been the show, butting instead of bouncing. I like that. I will admit, the parents actually grew on me quite a lot as the show wears on, because they give them a weird amount of personality that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But they're fun, and again, this is that whole thing about the clash of, like, old world England and new world 60s England, you must, you must serve your family, and you must serve, the country, harumph, harumph. When you're going to make something of yourself, you have no capital. He actually says that, where's your capital? Where's your employees? God, if he was much stuffier, I don't think he could breathe. But yeah, so Alfred goes on his date with Esme, who we discover is not just a dancer in this not quite British strip club, but she's also like a model actress, modern day woman, and she is also posh English, where Alfred himself is kind of more like working class English.
Yes, yes.
So we got the culture clash going on with them too, as around this time, you know, the divides got more noticeable and everything. I do think it's interesting that she's the actress in this, not him.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, because Alfred has had like they have been like origins where he has been like an actor, and or like a theater
guy,
person. Yeah.
So it's funny that they kind of work it in here via her, and he's like, "I like plays. I like that Peter Pan one. That was pretty good. That had a crocodile in it."
Hey, maybe this is him. This is his start into theater.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? Alfred, you got to go undercover with a bunch of actors. They're gonna try and assassinate the Archduke or something. Hey, what is it? Friggin' the guy who shot Lincoln was an actor. Think about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Them damn actors, they're shifty. You don't know what they're up to. Someone should watch out for them. She makes him uncomfortable because she launches into like the speech from the play that she's doing, and he's like, "Oh wow, that was mighty real, wasn't it?" She's also slightly judgmental about his military career, being like, "Oh no, you killed people. How do you live with yourself?" He's like, "Honestly, I don't." Honestly, I'm really feeling it, but, you know, we haven't created the words for PTSD yet. Therapy's not a thing, so I'm just kind of dealing with it. And as we find out, you know, not only did he just kill people during the war, apparently Alfred was goddamn good at killing people.
Yeah, he's this fucking Rambo.
Yeah, he was goddamn Winter Soldier coming up, knifing dudes from behind 3 at a time. So much to the point that his military career is kind of like shrouded in secrecy, where it's like, oh, he was a quartermaster, he worked in the kitchen. No, he didn't. He went on like black ops and everything for us during the war.
Yeah, he was part of like a special squad.
Like the sort of shit we can't actually talk about. That's how good Alfred was.
Yeah.
Which makes sense if he's helping Batman with his stuff. You want a guy who's tactically minded like this. In fact, I think they actually do a good job in this show showing that Alfred is like a three-dimensional thinker and everything. So yeah, the date goes very well, and Alfred and Esme have very, very polite British sex. Rather. Good show. Good show that. I'm arriving. I have also arriven. Good. Good. Let us have a cuppa then. Hey, again, I bet you didn't think you'd get a sex scene in something that is Batman adjacent, let alone that it's Alfred doing the sex. Look, I just want you to know, Master Bruce, that in my life I have definitely fucked. I am the butler who fucks. In fact, every time you're out fighting crime, I'm bringing all sorts of women through here. Just so you know.
That's why he lets him out, yeah.
Yeah, really. Oh, yes, go do your crime fighting. I'll just be here making cucumber sandwiches, which is what I call it. Badum-tish. After that, we actually jump forward a fair amount of time, and we see a young boarding school kid getting menaced by the creepy glasses mustache guy who also kidnapped the Lord, and apparently that's because this is the Lord's bastard son. Who they're hoping to use as leverage against the Lord, who they've been torturing, but who will not give them the information they want. And that information is the name of Thomas Wayne, who, of course, he's connected to all of this, because why wouldn't he be?
Yes, why else would he be in London?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, they really kind of, do a radically different take on Thomas Wayne as a character. He's a businessman. They don't really say he's a doctor, which is usually always part of his character. They actually give him like a full title too. He's like a forensic accountant, which did they have those back in the 60s?
I would imagine they've had them for quite a while.
I mean, I guess you always got to look at the books. I just didn't think they would call them that. Yeah, basically Thomas is here because he's looking for financial irregularities in a bunch of paperwork. Apparently someone is funneling money somewhere that they shouldn't be, and because he's hot on the trail of it, he has become an enemy of the Raven Society, and they shoot up his freaking hotel room.
Yeah, yeah. Again, more like really cool spy thriller stuff.
Very much so, like, he's so close to the truth. And even more, skullduggery. Sykes comes in, and the only thing she manages to find amongst Thomas's effects is the business card that Alfred had given him. So now Alfred is involved in this, despite that he had nothing to do with it previously.
Yes, it's all falling together. Yeah, and because the card says like security consultant, she thinks that obviously he's like
Wayne's bodyguard.
Thomas's bodyguard. Yeah, he's security.
And it's so beautiful, too, because this is a period piece. This is before the times of the internet, so they couldn't just look that up. You just kind of had to go on a hunch and the small piece of evidence that you had.
Yeah.
So that's very funny to me. Alfred has Esme over for dinner, and oh, it's a perfectly stuffy British affair. What does your father do? Is he proud of you? Oh, having adventures now, having individuality? Not in my house. I will not have it. This is where dreams come to die. Dad, you're getting sherry drunk. I know. Who's to say? What's great about this exchange, too, is that neither of them are like, oh, that was terrible, your father's a monster. Alfred's like, no, he was actually doing pretty good that night, actually. That was him on a good night. No, he was actually doing all right. They decide, though, look, we can't, deal with our stifling parents anymore. We're gonna make our dreams come true. We're gonna buy a flat together. My business is gonna take off. You're gonna be an actress, and we're gonna have the British dream.
Yeah.
Which, good for them. And, like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, isn't it a little cliche for, like, Alfred to be driven by a woman? And then I'm like, meh, it's a trope because it works.
Yeah, and you have to think, I'm not too far in, but you have to think that something's going to happen.
Oh, of course.
To her that'll cause him to
go to America, yeah.
Yeah, or like shut people out like that.
Yeah, she basically has a big red dot over her head going, bad things are going to happen to this woman.
Fridge me.
Yeah, she's doomed by continuity. And hey, speaking of which, she instantly gets kidnapped after this moment by the Raven Society. And again, this happened all the time in Gotham, but I think they're actually doing it on purpose here. Shit that I never knew if it was supposed to be funny or not, because this woman in the big hair comes and literally punches Alfred's girlfriend in the stomach and then throws her in the car, and I'm like, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's not some really kind of weirdly shot kidnapping.
No.
They put the cloth over the face.
Yeah, or the needle or something.
Yeah, it just fucking sucks her in the gut.
Punch? There's a lot of that going on in this show. This is the first of many times this woman will get hit in the show. She gets hit several times in this.
For some reason, it feels very British.
It really does. It also, I just cannot help but feel like Austin Powers every time. Judo chop, judo punch. Why aren't you falling asleep? You don't even have a name tag. You don't have a chance. There's just something so wonderfully campy about it. And again, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I'm choosing to think they are doing it on purpose because I think it's great, actually.
Yeah, it is.
So the part of this deal is, hey, Alfred, we kidnapped your girlfriend. If you want her back, you have to deliver us Thomas Wayne, because we assume you're in cahoots, even though Alfred's like, lady, that was weeks ago. I don't even fucking remember who that guy was. He might be famous in America, but he ain't famous here, I'll tell you that. Another thing I appreciated about this story that you never see anywhere else, Alfred actually tries to go to the cops.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, my girlfriend was kidnapped. Can you help me? Only for the guy to get up and leave when he sees the Raven Society is involved and everything. It's like, okay, I guess you won't. I guess all the vigilantism that I'm about to do in the next 20-odd minutes is completely justified, huh? Literally, I tried to go to the cops, but they will not help. And this is what I like to call the Guy Ritchie segment of the show, because we did the whole James Bond thing. Now we're going full-on London tough gangsters, where Alfred ropes in his two friends from the war to put on balaclavas and try and, hit the streets to find information.
Yeah, go and beat some people up.
It also reminded me very much of L.A. Noire near the end of that game, where a very similar, former soldier detective gets his old squad mates from the war back together who are kind of messed up, but still have all the weapons and all the training.
Yeah.
Also, in a funny, like, happenstance, Alfred thought he had Thomas's card, but he didn't. Thomas had too many business cards that night and gave him, like an electrician's card. So to get the information, Alfred has to go to the electrician's house and put guns in his face until he tells him where he can find Thomas.
It's one of those like perfect things where like everything's kind of going wrong.
Yes.
And it just keeps building and building and building.
Again, very Guy Ritchie. So many of his scripts are like that, where it's like, if you guys had just kept better records or just listened a little bit, you could have cut out this whole middle part. But the middle part is where the movie happens, where people are being very violent over very small amounts of money just trying to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they finally do corner Thomas, who has no idea what's going on, which I think is hilarious. That this is so Alfred's story. Thomas is just a small part in it. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, he's pretty okay though with the whole. All right, yeah, I guess I'm a hostage now. I guess I'm coming with you to help out. Because he's a helpful guy. Those Waynes, it runs in the family.
Yeah.
And I guess he knew too. It's like, look, I'm probably safer with you than with the people who shot up my hotel room. So I guess I'm going with you then. You might actually want me alive long enough to save your girlfriend. And we see they have her in like a padded cell in like a creepy Victorian mansion that, looks very evocative of like a Wayne Manor with the gargoyles and everything.
Yes.
Sykes also being very creepy as her jailer. And I could not help when I saw this scene remember how they played Barbara Gordon in the Gotham show. Do you remember how they played her in that show? It wasn't enough that she had to have like a strained relationship with Jim, but it's like, oh, she's actually a secret bisexual with a drug addiction and everything.
Yeah, she had like multiple personalities or something.
Oh, it got really uncomfortable by the end, but it's just like, Jesus Christ, Bruno Heller, twice you're playing gay panic in a villainous way. I don't know what that says about you, man. Did they do that in Rome? I don't remember Rome. It's just so funny that this is a recurring theme in his work. Which, in fairness, I mean, not too far away from what they would do in the James Bond movies, too. Everyone remembers the two, ambiguously gay henchmen in that as well, and where it's like, ooh, that didn't age well.
Yes.
All right, so we got all that going on. Thomas and Alfred actually don't get a chance to talk all that much in the show because, again, it's so much of Alfred's story, but they do kind of have a one-on-one in the car where they, like, kind of talk about life and everything, and, Thomas talks about his family and, how important they are and everything. They get it over.
Yeah.
Without overdoing it, too, because you think it'd be like, oh, my little son Bruce, who has, such bright eyes and such a bright future ahead of him.
Well, I have to imagine Bruce isn't born yet.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I can't speak for later seasons, but yeah, I would assume, because the show's set in the 60s, I would imagine he'd be born 70s, maybe?
Yeah, the timeline doesn't line up, you're right.
It's very close, though.
It is. They could have made it very lame, where it's like, I need to live so I can have a son named Bruce, who I will love and take to the...
See, that's like something I could see, like, Gotham doing.
I know, right? It's hard to believe this is
like
made by the same people.
Signposting the absolute shit out of it, like we don't even know that's going to be happening. You know?
In case you didn't know. So yeah, the Raven Society thugs show up and everything, and it's a big, tense, high noon standoff here in this dingy, rundown London estate. But oh wait, Alfred's friends were actually, doing the whole camo thing, and they pop up and shoot them, and actually, pretty well put together little action scene.
Yeah, the action scenes in the show are really quite good.
Yeah, I'm like genuinely shocked, like, wow, money and time and choreography went into this, holy shit. This is like actually a really well done, really well put together scene. Naturally, the Raven Society was pulling a fast one on Alfred. They never actually intended to hand her over the first time, but they're pretty impressed though that Alfred killed the shit out of all their henchmen.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, you win this one. Where are we actually going to meet to talk this over? And one of Alfred's buddies steps in there, and it's like, look, we're not actually going to go to the second location. To never go to the second location. Let's actually pit the two surviving henchmen against each other. Now, whoever tells us gets to live, shoots the guy. Okay, I guess you get to tell us that. Again, very Guy Ritchie, very Get Carter, very, brutal London gangstery, which I did not expect from an Alfred show, but I like it.
It fits it so well.
It really does. They're blending a lot of different genres in here, which I appreciate. So Esme tries to escape. She whacks Sykes with a tea kettle, not once but twice, and then kicks her down a flight of stairs. Do we find out later that this woman has superpowers or something? Because she takes a hell of a beating but keeps coming back.
I think that's like the heavy trope. You know,
I guess.
They're always like, you know, a bit more tougher than the usual goons.
That's true. James Bond can't take them down easily. They got to fight throughout the whole movie and everything.
Yeah.
That's why you're the heavy. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
Esme thinks she's safe for a second because she stumbles upon Lord Capehaver's big fancy dinner, only to realize, damn it, this conspiracy runs so deep, they're all in on it, I guess. Shit.
Yep.
It's the conspiracy, man. We meet the prerequisite cop character because every show like this needs a cop character to, you know, chase our hero around. His name is Aziz. Doesn't get much to do in this episode, but he's here just to set up that some of the police are actually trying to deal with the Raven Society. They're just not doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, he's basically
Gordon. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he appears in later episodes. I think he's a regular.
Of course.
Yeah, he's essentially Gordon.
Alfred works up a whole plan to infiltrate the bad guy base and get his girlfriend back. We get a very funny standoff with him and an old lady who's just filling an old-timey World War II machine gun, and Alfred pulls a gun on an old woman, only for the old woman to be like, over there. This, Alfred gave no fucks in his youth.
Yeah, no, he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, also, Batman, no guns. It's the enemy, or it's the weapon of the enemy. Alfred's like, I love them, though, and we'll use them all the time.
I'll shoot old ladies if I have to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hard as fuck. Obviously, of course, he ends up getting caught by the bad guys because, again, we're riffing on James Bond. So now the villain needs to sit Alfred down and tell him the intricacies of his evil plot. You see, we're actually trying to save England from depravities and stuff, you know. We're going to save them for Queen and country. Does the Queen know? No, but, you know.
No. But we know what's best.
Yeah, we don't see how that's important. And we're planning a coup d'etat, and we need good men like you, Alfred, to help fight and die for our cause. And I will admit, this joke made me laugh, where Alfred's like, yeah, when you started using a French word, I stopped listening. And he says that later on, where it's like, yes, it's your raison d'etre. Up there you go again, using French words. I don't like it. Well-known textbook hater of the French, Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, this goddamn French, you know.
You didn't know that because Batman never brings it up, but Alfred will just go on for like 20 minutes. Oh, did I ever mention how much I hate the French, Master Bruce? It's a real thing of mine. So yeah, they have this little back and forth, you know, we're not so different, you and I. Join me on the dark side. And Alfred's like, nah. Not gonna. Fuck off. His buddies, who he told to wait for 3 rings, get a little impatient, and so they come in, guns ablazing, so we can have another big shootout, which gives Alfred just enough time to escape and beat up all the cronies, and break the neck of the guy who is actually keeping his girlfriend hostage. And he goes, look away, look away. Yeah, I looked away, but I still heard the crack. You know, I taught Superman how to break necks. Yep, that was me. Bet you didn't know. Big fan of my work. See, look, it's okay for Alfred to do it because, as this episode shows, he never once said he was a superhero or a vigilante. He's just a dude doing wet work, man.
Yeah, just a dude shooting old ladies and cracking necks.
Yeah, understandably, this causes a bit of a rift in their relationships, where it's like, look, I was making peace with the fact that you killed people in the war, but you've killed how many people today trying to get me back?
Yeah, just in downtown London? What?
12, 24. You know, after the first 6, you just stop counting. But yeah, so the day is essentially saved. The bad guys are routed. The good cop comes and, you know, arrests as many people as he can. Oh, that's going to stick, I can already tell.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In the pilot episode, we're never going to see these guys again. Alfred returns home only to realize, crap, you know, the shamed Sykes has actually come here seeking revenge because she was basically told to, you know, take a lap by evil Lord Capington, so she took matters in her own hands, taking Alfred's family hostage. And Alfred is like, look, I don't know where my girlfriend is. I swear to God, she, like, literally just broke up with me because I'm so murder happy. What do you want from me? Only for her to later knock at the door, and it's like, oh, great, I guess you can come and join the hostage situation now.
Yeah.
I love, too, he's like, it's a hostage situation with, like, a double-barreled shotgun. It's like, well, he's only got 2 chances to shoot you, and then after that...
Yeah. I can dodge this, yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 of them, there's 4 people in the room, so unless he lines you all up... Once again, Esme starts getting in Sykes' face, and she gets hit not once but twice, and the other guy jailing her hit her too. So she's been hit 4 times in the face in this episode in the span of like 2 days. Jesus Christ. I wonder when this lady read the script, it's like, why do I keep getting hit so many times? Though, in fairness, she hits her back the last time, which allows Alfred enough chance to go in and grab the gun.
Yeah.
And here's where I actually kind of fell in love with the show in a way I was not expecting. Alfred's parents get involved in the fight, and his mom whoops the shit out of Sykes. Yeah. His dad glasses the dude with the shotgun, and then they both, like, have a fucking boot party on the other thug. And I'm like, wait, do I love this show, actually?
It kind of makes sense, though, doesn't it? Like, it's like, of course Alfred's parents are, like...
Are hard as fuck.
Like, hard as fucking know how to fight.
I kind of love this. I'm like, you know what? This is silly in all the best ways. I am totally into this weird ass drama of Alfred's parents just whooping ass and taking names. But of course, we're not done yet. The episode is mostly over, but because it's a pilot, we need to set up future adventures. High Lord Mustache has smoothed everything over with the Raven Society. Their leader managed to make it out. He's a little worse for wear, and he'll be back making trouble for Alfred next time, Alfred. Next time. But we're still not quite done yet, because Thomas Wayne needs to sort of offer him his job, but Alfred can't quite take it yet because it's the beginning of the series.
Yes, yeah, you'll have to. That'll be the finale, you know.
They also imply that Thomas Wayne isn't just a forensic accountant and a rich guy from America. He's also a spy, maybe?
Yeah, there's like more of that in the coming episodes where he's like kind of some sort of spy looking into like this whole Raven Society shit.
Right. So he works for the No Name League, I assume. He works for like the other organization.
I think so.
So he's basically Peter Parker's dad, with them being spies and everything. So apparently Thomas Wayne in this show is everything except a doctor.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he will become a doctor eventually. Right.
I mean, I guess it's true enough for Batman. He's a kung fu escape artist, chemist, super scientist, everything else. It only makes sense that Thomas Wayne have 100 jobs, too. Mm-hmm. Now, no British show would be fully complete either if we didn't take a stop by Queen Elizabeth so Alfred could be given a medal of commendation for all the good work he's done. I'm like, they really put this in the first episode? Alfred meets the fucking Queen? Are you for real?
It feels like a finale thing, doesn't it?
It really does. This feels like the end of the show. He gets to meet the Queen and get a commendation, but no, he gets it in the pilot. I'm like, does this keep happening? Is Alfred going to meet, like, every important person in British history? Like, he's gonna meet the Beatles, and he's gonna meet, like, Winston Churchill's ghost and everyone else. Because, Alfred is, like, the most important British person who ever lived, apparently.
Yeah, I do think at one point he does fight Jack the Ripper.
Of course he does.
He fights someone named Jack Ripper.
Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he do these things? I mean, shit, apparently in Season 3 they're going to be doing a goddamn V for Vendetta thing.
Yeah, apparently the show not only has been building towards, obviously, like, the Batman stuff, but it's also been setting up in the background with all of this Raven Society and imagine whatever else the show is doing. It's all stuff to do with V for Vendetta and setting up that world.
Madness. Utter madness. Who let them get away with that?
And I'm really intrigued to actually see how they get there, because I kind of want to watch on.
I know, because that's just like such a fucking big brain idea. But then you're reminded that Gotham did like the goddamn mutant gang and everything like early on in the show. Like, well, how the hell does this work?
That's true, yeah.
So apparently that's just a common thing where it's like, does this take place in the far future? Does this not even take place in that universe? We don't care. We'll put it in here.
Yeah, whatever.
Why not? It's TV. We're throwing everything at the wall. See what sticks.
Yeah, Alfred's going to fight Jimmy Savile in Season 4.
You joke, but like seriously, that sounds like something they would do.
That'd actually be pretty awesome.
Not on Alfred's watch, punch. I'm stopping you now in the 1960s before you can really get started. And the Rolling Stones are there, and it's like, you hold 'em, Mick, thanks. But yeah, so that's the Alfred show, everyone. That's Pennyworth. And yeah, I didn't hate it. Like, the concept is still, like, silly as shit.
Yeah, it is.
Like, the idea of giving Alfred a show, but I dare say this is probably as good an Alfred show as you could make.
It could be a lot worse.
It could be so much worse. They, like, weirdly do focus on the good things. There is, like, a theme of, like, you know, British classism and, you know, the transforming of the world at the end of the war. And it fills that spy show niche that they don't really make spy shows anymore.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So there's actually something like Jack Bannon. We didn't talk about him, the main guy who plays Alfred. Pretty good as an actor. He's got charisma. You know, he's got a screen presence. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up, you know, having a pretty good career off the back of this.
Yeah, I hope he does as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems likable enough, and this show actually seems okay. And with that, everyone, we can actually bring to close our haven't seen it arc. And I gotta say, we actually liked basically all the shows we covered in this arc.
They all had something, yeah.
I generally thought that there would be, like, a stinker in here. I thought this would be the stinker. I thought we could tear this one apart.
Same.
I'm a little disappointed with how good this actually was.
I know, like when I started watching, I was like, oh, this is hitting all the right notes and everything. It's so cool.
I saved up all the venom for this, and I didn't get to unleash it. Shit. Oh, well, maybe next time. But yeah, so with one arc coming to an end, we can actually start a new arc. And in fact, hey, if you're a member of the Patreon, you'll actually get to see what shows and what arcs I have planned next. I have a couple ideas for some stuff that we might like to see, some more animated stuff, some more live action stuff. If you have an idea for something you would like to see us cover in the future, or like a thematic arc tying several different shows together, let us know down in the comment section below, because we'll probably do it at some point.
Yeah, there's quite a few shows out there we haven't covered in anything yet.
Indeed there is. We had a couple ideas that we came up with just when we were doing this. We're like, oh, we should do, like, the superhero shows that weren't related to comics that, like, came out in, like, that post-Heroes boom period. So, like, The Cape and No Ordinary Family.
Yeah, all those. So we should do the Powers TV show. That was a PlayStation Store exclusive.
Oh my god, I watched the first episode of that. Oh my god, talk about something.
I'm pretty sure I did, but it was so long ago I can't remember it.
I remember nothing from that show. Talk about something that came and went in the blink of a fucking eye. I guess we'd do that, and then we'd have to do, like, Jupiter Ascending, maybe, too. And like this,
I was thinking that, yeah.
This got canned after one season, which is a shame, because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking cool.
It was pretty good. Maybe we'll do, like, Dark Angel. Remember Dark Angel?
Yeah, James Cameron's Dark Angel.
I think we also pitched the idea, too, of doing, like, a Saturday morning anime one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do, like, the 90s, like, Image adjacent shows that got made, like Spawn and The Max and Savage Dragon, that all got, like, one seasons.
Yes.
So, again, lots of places we could take the show, everyone, but I'm rambling. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We hope you enjoy watching Retro Hero Video as much as Matt and I enjoy making it, and we'll be back again next week, probably with a regularly scheduled episode.
Yeah, I think we will be.
Yeah, so until then, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all again next time. Retro Hero Video out.